Okay, hi guys, welcome to the Two Dogs.
Hi, Dr.
Hi.
Ellie here.
And Dr. Inky here.
We are from the Two Dogs.
Yes, so today we'll be discussing something I think a little bit controversial.
We always do controversy,
Yeah, we also
man.
do controversial
Since
stuff.
when we're not controversial?
I think this would hit.
I lost some fans already last week,
yeah.
right?
But
I lost some
I'm sure
followers.
you lost some fans, but you gained some fans. As
Yeah,
well.
but this week I might lose parents now.
Well, yeah, this one you might actually lose parents.
All right, Inky, roll it in. What are we talking about this week?
So today we'll be talking. Well, does formal education, especially higher education, does it really kill ambition? Does it actually kill dreams? Well, to be honest, when I was growing up, I wanted to be totally something different. I never wanted to be a doctor.
What do you want to be?
I wanted to be a scientist. I
What
wanted to
kind of scientist?
discover.
Mad or not mad?
A little bit mad here and there. I wanted to do like scientific experiments, have explosions here and there, and this was as a small child. And I said, you know what, I want this for my profession.
What movie do you watch as a kid?
Man, hey, I grew up with Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Never heard of it.
because it's before your it's after
Oh,
your
it's
generation.
before my time. Yes. Yes. Oh,
young.
old bugger. Yes. Finally, got you to admit you're a little bit old also.
Yeah, so as I was growing up, I said, you know what, I want to be a scientist. I want to discover new stuff, you know. I want to discover new molecules, new atoms and all. Then my dad say, but it doesn't make any money, you know. Well, he is right. But my passion was there. So, you know what? I really like science. You know, I really like chemistry. And when I was young, I was very fascinated with all these bubbling tubes, you know, all the test tubes and all. But my dad say, it's not gonna make you any money.
You do know, right? If you didn't listen to your dad and you study hard, right? And you discovered a cure for baldness.
Exactly. Oh, you'll make a lot of money.
You will make more than me, man.
Exactly.
You'll be like,
Exactly.
I will buy stuff from you.
Exactly. So I actually blame my dad. No, so then the next step was, you know what? If you don't let me discover stuff, never mind. I want to build stuff. I want to be an engineer.
All right.
I didn't want to be any regular engineer, chemical engineer, or civil engineer like my dad. I want to be a electronic and mechatronic engineer. I want to build robots. And again, my dad say, it's not going to make you any money, you know. That's it. You know what? I'll fall back to my third choice. I'll be a doctor then. Yeah. So, does formal education kill ambition, or the hopes of your parents? You know, your parents' dreams of you achieving certain formal education. Does it really kill your ambition?
Yeah. We live in very different times, ladies and gentlemen, because our time, Inky, is that your parents and parents of my generation also is the same. It's always the same old, you must be a doctor. You got to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Then it's for you, no engineer, but
No-
it was
no
engineer
engineering
was
for me,
there. And then a bit lower down was accountant.
But either one of these four, you know, or an architect, you know, five, which is the five professions,
big
or
profession
professions
that makes money, and that's the ambition that you should move towards.
Yeah.
As they say, cita.
Yeah, cita-cita anda. What are your ambitions?
But I think that it's interesting that when we say ambition, it's hard to define what ambition is. Whereas in Bahasa, right, there's cita-cita versus impian.
It's true.
So
True,
which
true,
is
true,
which?
True. I would say impian is something that you dream of.
But
alright?
can that be
But-
ambition?
Yeah, it could be ambition, but a lot of people find impian as something probably unreachable.
Okay. But so is ambition. You
Yeah,
know?
true,
Sometimes
true.
ambition is a bit unreachable also.
Well, yeah, that is true as well.
But
No,
coming
that
back
is
to the
true.
topic, so when Inky says whether the higher education kills ambition, why did this topic come in?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed, right, and not even among my fellow friends, even among fellow doctors themselves, I've actually seen a number of doctors go through the grueling medical school. You know, it's not easy to get into medical school. It's not easy to go through medical school, come out, graduate, and start their internship. And either they really don't like it, or because maybe the internship in Malaysia is so grueling, difficult that they quit. But a lot of them just give up and just quit. And sometimes when you actually sit and talk to them, you realize they
That's
never
not what they
want to be
want.
doctors. They want to be something else. Some of them want to be a chef.
Wanna be a
some-
dancer?
Someone want to be a
Whatever,
dancer,
yeah.
artists, musicians, and these are people who are talented.
Yeah.
They are talented, but they
As the parents say, this won't make money, won't make
they
you
comply.
happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They comply with their family, and hence they wasted 6 to 8 years of their lives pursuing something that they don't like. And at the end of the day, they quit. And these are the people who have the courage to quit. What about those who are
Just
still
go through it. Yeah.
yes, who are still in the profession, who are slaving away day and night, who don't like what they do, but they since since 2 feet are already inside, they have no choice, and they just go through it. And because they lack the passion, they don't do well. They don't do well.
Well, as long as they make money, the parents have got nothing to say.
True.
Yeah,
True. It's bragging rights.
It's bragging rights for either way.
Mhm.
But even with today's situation, and because of this kind of argument, it's a new form of argument for the youths of today. Because now the biggest people in the world right now, Bill Gates.
Yeah.
He didn't have higher education.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Dell, he also dropped out from college.
Mm.
Then you get Steve Jobs, he dropped out from college.
Yep.
And there's so many more that we can name. And these are people who didn't finish higher education.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, people are using it as a basis to say higher education is not as important, because if I live the dream, I will be able to achieve and be who I want. So today's argument, we might have to play devil's advocate.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be pro, I have to be con.
Yeah.
So you take your stand. You want to flip the coin, or you decide which one you want to be.
Yeah.
We will argue today.
Yeah.
Me and Dr. Inky shall
Yes,
argue.
exactly.
We will take
Okay,
one
good.
side and we'll argue.
Good.
Finally, let's
Yeah.
fight.
All right. So for me, is higher education kills ambition.
So I have to say higher education is important for your education.
Yeah.
You
so
may start.
yeah. So the reason why education has been put in place, or what we call standardized testing, right, was done many years ago, especially in ancient China, right, to weed out, I wouldn't say weed out, but to filter out the best of the best, right, with proper standardized testing throughout the entire country.
All right.
You could find out who were the top.
Okay.
Were the brains of
creme de la
the
creme.
creme de la creme, the brains of the community, and then you bring them into civil service.
Okay.
Right. Now again, Western education picked it up in the 1800s, and now there's standardized testing everywhere. Right, in your as young as kindergarten itself, and nowadays they undergo tests, right, which is ludicrous. But anyway, so it is meant to showcase, the society needs a particular skill set, and whether you have the skill set to match with society or not. If you don't have it, I'm sorry to say, but you will be at the bottom of society. If you have it, you will rise to the top. And hence, standardized testing came out, formal education came out. And a lot of times, formal education, I would say it kills dreams, because as a child, their imagination is limitless. They grew up, they want to be, they want to be this, they want to be that, they want to discover new stuff. But education tells them, you know what, it has already been done, or oh no, you can't actually do all this stuff. You have to follow, you have to play by the rules. So then it starts to mold that child into someone who is very, 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 I would say, straight, and you're not allowed to question the system.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And hence that continues from youth,
All right.
into your adulthood,
Okay.
until you are working.
Okay.
And even as you're working, there will be laws regulating you and say that you cannot question the system. So for me, it kills ambition, because from a person that wants to do something, and if you tell him once or twice it can't be done, he will still want to do it.
Yep.
But if everyone around him tells him it can't be done, right, the society, it's not allowing you to comply, right? It means that you can't continue it. So what happens is it kills the dream.
Now I'm gonna start hitting you back
Okay,
hard.
sure.
I'm gonna hit you hard now.
Sure, hit me hard.
Right. So, I agree somewhat about what you say about standardizing the test and making everyone looks like a production line, making them fall in line so that they move towards that direction. No questions asked. If you are meant to be a box, you're a box. If you're meant to be the candy, you're the candy. But that's production line. You're equating higher education as a production line. And you are saying that because of that, it kills the dream.
Yep.
But if it was really a dream, why didn't they just pursue it despite whatever challenges that came ahead? Now, what I'm saying is, let's take, for example, you wanted to be a scientist.
Yeah.
Okay. How long did you pursue it before your dad convinced you to quit?
Well, I was young at the time. I was a small child.
Okay.
I had that ambition for, I think, for easily about 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
10 years is not a short time.
It's not a short time.
Not-
As a
How
child,
old are
it's
you
not a
now?
short time.
How old are you
so
now?
basically, I had an ambition ever since I was like
He won't tell
15 or
us his age.
16.
He won't tell
no,
us his age.
no, it's 5 or 6 up to
Right.
the point where I was 15 to 16.
That's very formative years. Very formative
yeah,
years.
it was.
Yeah. So you would have, okay, fine. All said and done. After that, despite your dad saying no, how much of experiments do you carry out on your own on the side?
Well, by myself as a child, I tried to do all kinds of stuff. But as I was growing up, it grew lesser and lesser. Of course.
And that's the thing. When I say higher education should not be the main reason that kills your ambition, because if your ambition is really strong, it would have been the one that kind of like puts you in place. So to say, if you were a child, okay, and your ambition was to be a scientist, great. But what are you going to test on? You can't just blow things up in your house. You have to know what's dangerous, what's not. And that's what education comes in. Education is the one that teaches you. Right, if you're going to mix, all right, pure potassium or sodium or potassium onto the water, it will spark. It will spark and fly everywhere, and it might even explode in your face. You don't want to do that. So if you don't learn that and you do that and something explodes in your face, blinds you, makes you incapable, then education failed you, or you've done the experiment with a blind eye. So higher education, I know it's boring. To be honest, how much of we learn that we really apply?
Yeah, almost rarely.
Rarely, right? When we were in uni, everyone says, yes, we know it's boring. You only apply 30%. In reality, I think I
it's
apply
just
about
fraction,
5
man.
or fraction of a 5%. The rest of it is you make it up as you go. You learn as you go. But that 5% you apply is not real knowledge. That 5% is knowing what is dangerous, what should not be done, or what has to be done with a high degree of risk, but it's calculated risk. So higher education, yes, it might slow down the dream, but it should not kill the dream.
Yeah, but so coming back, yeah, it should not kill the dream. But however, for most people, if you push them down long enough, they stay down. They don't get up anymore. And only a select few would fight the system and actually get up. So hence, that's why you have people, as you mentioned, like Bill Gates. You have people like Steve Jobs. You have people like Michael Dell, and you have other people, right, who fought the system. It means they told themselves, you know what, I'm not going to formal education is not for me. I have my other ambition. I will do something else. Also, they had the encouragement of the peers around them, and as well as probably their family members. Example, Bill Gates.
All right.
When he wanted to start Microsoft, his dad gave him a loan. His dad gave him a loan, $30,000.
Yep.
All right. So his dad actually, and I wouldn't say encouraged him to drop out of MIT, but when he dropped out, definitely part of the way his dad said, you know what, this is my son's dream. I'm gonna support him. I'm gonna give him a soft loan, and then if he makes it, he makes it. He doesn't make it, probably he has to go back to MIT. Same as well for the rest. A lot of times their parents actually supported them to push for them to realize that probably higher education is not for them per se. But when you do come into formal education, all right, whether it's higher education, lower education, and mainly higher education, you are told that the world works in certain ways, and you have to follow those ways. Otherwise, you'll be an outcast. Right? And most people, like it or not, they want to feel like they belong. They want to belong to a group, especially if the group is a large group, a popular group. So when you imagine if you enter a particular faculty and you act differently and you think differently, you would be ostracized by your professors, by students around you, and most people will try to adhere to standardized norm. Of course, there will be some people who stand out, and these are the people who then stand out, or people who actually drop out. But most people, I would say, because there is a need to feel like they want to belong to a group or a tribe, they will definitely comply.
Okay. So, in other words, you're trying to say that those who will have to comply, you either lack ambition to begin with, or you lack the will and drive.
No, I would say that most people, whether they have the ambition or they have the drive, they find the need to comply. Example, dressing.
All right.
Dress wise.
Okay.
A lot of times we look around us
Mm-hmm.
and we see how people dress around us,
Mm-hmm.
and then somehow or rather we dress like the people around us because
Okay.
we want to fit in.
All right.
You don't, let's say if let's say a group of people, generally if you are out with your friends and you're all dressed in very dull colors, you generally don't want to stand out. You generally don't dress in bright colors, unless you,
want to
are
stand
that
out.
yeah, unless you are loud, unless you really want to stick out, then you would do the total opposite. But most people will comply. Most people will comply.
Actually, I think this is where the argument stops because I'm more inclined to be on his side.
No, well,
but that's the argument. I just want to play the devil's advocate
Yes.
for that just short while. You know, that short
but
while.
however, yes, you are right. So then the people who then fight the system say that, you know what, I'm not going to comply, and they tend to stand out.
Yes, but again, when they stand out, it's based on intuition rather than judgment. Higher education, on one hand, yes, it's boring. I think what most people do not like is the mundaneness of learning something that eventually they're not going to apply. They want the creativity of flow. But at the same time, they have to know it's what shapes you. It shapes your thought process. To have ambition, I mean, just to say, I want to build a rocket. Okay, great. That's your ambition. But you have to know how to build it. You have the will to do trial and error. Let's say if you really you just watch YouTube, that was your education, and you say, I have already the education I don't need a formal education. But you get into space, then what? You've only learned one part, then you don't know what to prepare in space. It's like the movie. Remember, what is it? The Martian.
The Martian.
Yeah. Matt Damon survives on
he planted potato.
Yeah,
in
he
space.
planted
He's
potatoes in Mars. You planted potatoes. He challenged the impossible. And that is actually because of education.
True.
Because he's a botanist who knows he needs this. He needs certain condition. He makes the condition happen. But he's never done it before. And the ambition to be the first person to be on Mars, technically, I mean, it's just a theoretical thing. But in a theoretical point of view, he was the first person who had a plantation on Mars.
Yeah, true. It's true.
And that would have probably been his ambition to begin with, just that it was not panned out to be. He was meant to go home, but by circumstance, he was stuck there. But the education he knows prepared him for that. But he still got what he wanted. So you're right. In many aspects, is that whether it's going to quell your ambition and suppress you, that is where I think willpower comes in. Recently, one of my dad's friend's son was staying with my dad because he's doing a course that he doesn't want to do. His ambition was to do into sports science, but the parents or the power that be dictates that he should do something else. And because of that, he's not doing very well. Whether is it by choice or by rebellious behavior, it doesn't really matter. But the thing is, will it hurt you to finish it? And I only asked him one question, was that, while you're doing this and you're hating it, are you doing anything else that drives your dream? Although you're doing a business degree, it's not what you want to do, but it doesn't mean you can't apply that business degree into your ambition. Would you have seen it that way? And what are you doing to drive your ambition? Are you doing something extra on the side? Are you doing personal training? Are you doing physio? Are you doing something else? And the answer was no, because he's got no time. He's given up on it. So for me, if you have the ambition, you gotta have the drive. And sometimes it's just not meant to be in that stage. That's all. Never take it as a point that you should stop your ambition. I think doctor was never my ambition.
Yeah, I thought you wanted to be a psychiatrist or psychologist.
That was much later.
That was much later. So what was your initial ambition?
My initial ambition was to be an accountant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I kind of like numbers and
like money as well.
Yeah, who doesn't, man? So I like that. But I don't know, along the way how I got it quashed and it just never resurfaced. Then doctor was like something on the side that only creeped up and wanted to be a psychiatrist, then realized maybe my ambition was not that realistic. I don't really want to sit there and talk to people that long. Not to say I can't do it, and not to say I don't enjoy it, but maybe that's not what I want to do, because I've known some people whereby they did that and it didn't pan out very well for them because of the transference. They eventually, as they say, birds of same feather flock together. Eventually, they also got some psychiatric problems. They start to have a little bit of antisocial behavior. They got a little bit of depression, and that kind of like not where I want to go. Let's be depressed about no business rather than be depressed because someone else was depressed. And then you like talk about depression to each other, then in the end you get depressed.
It actually happens.
Yeah, it does happen.
If you're surrounded by the people who are depressed all the time, eventually you'll be depressed.
Yeah, so that's why I hang out with him. He's a happy guy.
Yeah, happy all the time.
Happy all the time. Yeah. So coming back, we digress so far. How would you want to, put higher education into ambition? If you had to redo your life, or you want to see it from a different perspective, let's give some different point of view to our listeners. How would you want to marry higher education with ambition together?
All right. So for me, I still think that yes, even though my argument prior to this was ambition kills, higher education kills ambition. But one of the point that I want to highlight is actually higher education is also quite important to ambition. Reason being, in higher education, in lower education, when you are in Malaysia, you're just sent 1 to your Form 5s, you're not allowed to question.
Correct.
Yeah, you're never allowed to question.
Or at least the Malaysian system.
Or at least the Malaysian system. Yeah. However, once you get into college and into higher education, like in university, that's where you are taught critical thinking.
Correct.
That means that you are taught to question everything outside. Question it. Even if it's a science fact, question it and ask whether this is it proven or not. If it's proven, okay. Is it proven multiple times, or it's just like that particular one-off thing.
Yep.
But if it's proven multiple times, man, it's a fact. Once it's a fact, you have to accept it, because if you question again, it's going to be proven again. But however, it allows you then to question the things around you. All right. So higher education for that is important. However, if you ask me to make do, all right, to turn back the clock and say that, how can I actually marry ambition with higher education, I would say this. Don't structure higher education so rigidly.
Yeah.
All right. Allow the students to hop from modules to modules, even if it's a cross department. It means from business to science to maths, right? Rather than, you're a business student, you can only learn business. These are 20 modules for you to learn for the next 5 years.
Correct.
You have to finish the 20 modules, and I give you an elective 5 modules, but you are not allowed to learn outside of these 20 modules.
Correct.
Right? Allow them, maybe for the additional couple of modules, allow them to go to any department, right? They wish. Maybe someone from the business world, or they enroll into the business degree, and they say, for one summer, I want to
do something different.
I want to do something different. I want to see how the medical students do dissections. I want to just be there for like 3 months. Just go. And that actually opens up their eyes. So maybe when they graduate, they can say, I have done this. I actually like the medical aspect, but because I'm doing business, I want to do medical business. Right? So it's totally something different.
Yeah. And open a private autopsy center.
Yeah.
Well, open your own mall.
So actually, when I was in university, the university didn't actually during our summer breaks, they didn't actually ask us to be attached to hospitals.
No.
The one thing they actually told us, if it's possible, try and be attached with a non-medical industry.
Oh, that's very interesting.
They say, you write a paper. At the end of summer, you write a paper of what you've learned. You can be attached for a month, 3 months. It's up to you for the entire extent of the summer. We want you guys to be attached with a core curriculum which is non-medical and hopefully non-scientific as well. Because you say that never in your life, because once you graduate, right?
Yes, you're stuck with it.
Never in your life can you go back there anymore.
You
So,
you quit.
Yeah, yeah, you have to quit
totally
lah.
change 360.
Yeah, you have to quit lah. But of course,
That's the risk.
of course, your
It's a risk.
university doesn't want you to quit lah.
All right, yeah, but it's a risk, you know. Let's say if tomorrow you're gonna open, let's say a I don't know, a hot dog stand. It's a total 360. It's totally not what you wanted
Yeah,
to do.
yeah. Yeah. So during our summer, a lot of people took up things like scuba diving. A lot of people took up sign language. All right. I actually went into the stock market for like 1 or 2 summers. Yeah, to actually learn from remisers to how to trade stocks. People would take up defensive driving. You know how to drive like a stunt driver. You know they will enroll for those kind of courses.
Bodyguards, right?
Yeah. So it's fun. It was fun, but it also allowed me to explore other options, which came in handy because after I graduated, the first thing I did when I got my first paycheck was actually to invest in the stock market.
Now we ask why you never go attached with a scientist.
Because by then already my ambitions have changed.
See?
So another thing is ambitions change.
Yes.
As we're growing up, ambitions change.
I think it comes to a few different areas that people need to take responsibility. You're right. Number one, ambitions change. So never blame your parents because your ambition may change.
Yep.
And the more you expose yourself to different things, you might find that while this is what you thought you like to do, but your innate skill, your talent could be totally something else.
That's true.
In my mind, I think I can dance like Michael Jackson, but actually I look more like a Michael Jackass. Right? In my mind, I think, I could be a model, but actually I've just got that beer belly too.
Yeah, no, he's just he just looks like a homeless bugger.
There you go. In the end, in reality, what I find I can do really well is like what he does. We talk a lot.
Yeah, you just talk a lot.
We talk a lot.
Yeah, you just talk for a living, and that's the best thing about being a doctor, right? You just talk.
You just talk. See,
and
so
talk
you
and talk.
learn how to talk to patients. You have to be empathy. Then you have to learn how to talk to people who you are total strangers. At the end of it, you can talk for an hour over a topic that you have no idea what was it
And
last
we
week.
never actually prepared. You know?
Yeah. FYI, we don't prepare our,
we don't
our
prepare.
scripts.
We never prepare for our podcast.
Except for when we talk about statistics, then we know. You do a bit of study.
Yeah. So at certain points that you have to draw some stats, and we probably study for like 5 minutes.
But that's about it. The rest of it is just whatever you hear was just processed like 10 seconds ago.
Yeah. Even our current podcast, right? It's like we came on a topic like a couple of days ago, and we never actually prepared anything.
We have no notes.
There's
absolutely
nothing. I have
nothing
no
here.
idea what will happen during the podcast. We just sat down, and he suddenly suggested we're gonna play devil's advocate, pro and cons. And you know what? Just go
swing
the
with
flow.
it. But you see, everything comes from the heart.
Yes.
So whenever we talk to you, it's from the heart.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're right. So I think number one, kids or youth should stop blaming people for failed ambition and realize that there's more than just one ambition in your life and be open to a new ambition. I think second thing would be society. Society should take a more proactive role. I think we should do more attachment programs, mentoring programs. For example, if you had wanted to be a scientist back then, who would you have been able to attach to be a scientist?
Yeah, back then probably was very difficult.
Correct.
Yeah.
But that's precisely the point. It would have been difficult. If it was today, let's say if your son told you, Dad, I want to be a scientist, who do you know right now who could be a scientist that you feel could have given them some good, clear advice on what's their path going to be like, what they should do?
Yeah. I mean, even now, if they really want to be a scientist, there's actually a lot of things that they can actually do. So one of the things that I actually found out for my for both my boys was actually a subscription plan from US called MedLabs.
MedLabs.
Yeah. So you subscribe $200 a year, every month. They send you a kit
Nice.
for science.
Nice.
Right? So you can do your own mini science experiments.
Nice.
And they have explanations, they have YouTube videos to show you how it's done. So it actually tickles the ambition a little bit. So from there they will realize whether they like it or they don't actually like it.
Correct.
Like myself, as I was growing up, I wanted to be a scientist, but I never. But to be honest, I never really set foot in a lab. I've never really done any experiments. It was likely a hobby,
Yep.
It was a hobby of mine to actually watch someone do it.
I had a bit of that ambition, and back then we had Toys R Us.
Oh yeah.
Toys R Us had a science kit.
Oh, with the microscope.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I actually bought two sets. One was growing crystals. After you purchase everything, then they said, oh, you just put salt, lots of salt or sugar, and then 2 jars, and then you put a string in between, then you start watching it condense and grow stalactites and stalagmites. You pay $40 just for that. It was a bit of a rip-off, but I have no idea what I learned. But I learned that you could create crystals by diluting another crystal, and that salt and sugar are crystals.
Yeah.
Da-di-da. Okay, so I did learn something. Then there was a microscope whereby, because it was a child's play microscope, so you have no idea what you're looking at. So you think you look at something. Again, bad guidance. Kind of killed my ambition also to be a scientist. Then you go to uni, then when you got the real microscope, then you look at slides, then you're like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to do this
for a living, man.
It's like, what?
Peek through the whole thing. No.
Looking at dead tissue and coming to a diagnosis of what happened.
Yes.
Again, it will be good for society of today to take a more proactive role to actually coach, even if it's a short segment. Do talk about your perspective, talk about things so that people know if that's the ambition, what are the pros, what are the cons, what's the best part about the job, what's the challenges of today that they might face, just to kind of like prepare someone so that they know, okay, I'm willing to take the challenge and I'm willing to have the drive. Or say, okay, my ambition I thought was this, but let's see what else that my talents may have.
True. Yes.
Because we don't really know the talents until it surfaces.
So a lot of times we kind of how to say we think that we have a particular talent, but actually it's just a I would say a hobby, or you have an interest in certain things, but you probably don't have talent. Example, a lot of people like music.
Yes.
A lot of people like music. Some people play music and instruments, and they feel like, what, I could be
the next Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix, Johnny Cash. I could be the next Bon Jovi, Justin Bieber. But then actually, it's just interest. You don't really have the talent for it. All right.
You sound good to yourself.
Yes.
In the karaoke.
Yes, exactly.
And in the car, and that's it.
Exactly.
If you record and play, people would think that it was a screeching cat.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Exactly. But do give it a try. But you realize if the people around you tell you that, what, you're not really that good, or even if let's say you're an adult and you go out into the market and you start singing for professionally, and you realize nobody is actually paying to come and watch you see.
The key is paying.
Yeah.
If it was free, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No one really cares. It was just background noise.
Yeah. Then you realize that you don't actually have a talent, and that is actually a hobby.
Now,
so
to put it into another perspective, everyone could say, whatever. So, who would you say in your time was one of the greatest basketball players?
I would say it's Michael Jordan.
There you go. Same thing. I would still say it's Michael Jordan, although people of the day would say something else. His ambition was to be a baseball player.
Yes,
he wanted badly to play baseball.
Yes.
In his mind, he wants to be the world's greatest baseball player.
Yes, that's
it was
right.
his dad who pushed him to do basketball.
Yeah.
But he excelled in it so well. He is regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Then, when he's about 45, he decided to take up baseball, and he sucks at it.
He sucked at it. So basically, what happened was, he actually retired at the age of 31 or 32. He went to baseball.
Yeah.
So what happened was he decided, I won three NBA rings in a row. This is rare, and as much as I like basketball, I want to try baseball now.
Discover my talents.
Right.
Yeah.
So his dad passed away already. Apparently, by then he said, you know what? I fulfilled my dad's dream. I want to now fulfill my own dream.
Correct.
So he quit baseball. He quit basketball. He went to baseball. Of course, baseball was superbly happy they was there. The world's greatest athlete just joined them.
Yep.
So he tried out for one season.
Yep.
He sucked
badly.
He was good for an average person, but he sucked in
As a
Major League
professional.
Baseball.
Correct.
Then after a year, he decided, I'm going back to basketball.
Yeah. And he had to, hide and come back as a different person for a while. Then he came back with the number 45.
Yes.
Then only the unretired 23 to give it back to him, and he won 3 more.
Yes, that's right.
It's ridiculous for someone who win 3, left the game for 2 years, and come back and win another 3. It takes a lot of drive to actually show that you are still one of the greatest.
So for him, it was actually a combination of a few things. It was his talent.
Yep.
A combination of his talent. So his interest was in baseball.
Yes.
But however, it was his talent in basketball. And as you mentioned, tenacity, he practiced every day.
Correct.
Even though even though it wasn't his first love, but he practiced every day to be the best that he could be.
Correct.
And hence he became the greatest basketball player of all times.
In other words, his higher education was technically to be a basketball player.
Yep.
Was not the college degree, no, but his higher education was to do that, which was exactly not what he wanted to do in the first place. So you gotta sort of like sometimes bite the bitter pill to know or to recognize that you may have talents that was there, but you didn't want to let it surface, or you were trying to suppress, or be open about options in life. Now, so we've talked about people who needs to be open about their ambition, and we've talked, or at least I've spoken about society having to play an active role to be more of a mentoring project. One more is parents. Now, parents, on one hand, it's you have to look after your child. So sometimes, to be fair, lots of kids don't know what they want to do, and I think for that, if you choose, that's fine. But if they know what they want to do, this is where the tricky part comes in. I think as Asian parents, it's always the same old thing. You don't know one lah. The money is not there. The money is where your future is going to be. You need money to be happy, okay? And to make money, you must be doctor, lawyer, accountant, architect, engineer. Right? Honestly, that's not where the money is going to be. Exactly. Not really anymore. Back then, yes. Now there's just too many, because so many of our parents told us to do it. Now there's too many of us, until government don't want to put us into housemanship program. You don't graduate housemanship, you are a doctor with a degree but no experience, no license.
You're basically an unemployed person with a medical degree.
Correct.
That's all.
And that's worse.
That's worse.
Because now you're overqualified as anything else.
Exactly.
You want to be a janitor also, you're overqualified. Not because you don't know how to wash, but the degree doesn't match.
Yes.
Even though you don't know how to wash toilet, people don't want to hire you because they're like, oh yeah, you're doctor. You cannot wash toilets.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do this.
You're not supposed to do this. Yeah, so I think when it comes to parents, this is where the tricky part comes in. I think they need to realize that money can be made anywhere. Of today's generation is so different. It's not like once upon a time. The more scarce or the more unique the ambition is, there's a higher probability you might do well. Because there's less people to compete with you. The world has become that. We're so populated. We're so overpopulated right now that an interesting job would have so many people lining up for it. An uninteresting job, on the other hand, will have so few people, but they still need it.
Yes.
They still need it.
Yes. I will give you a very, very simple example. If you compare someone with a business degree from a college, no matter how reputable the college is, he graduates, he's going to draw 1,500, 2,000 ringgit, right? As the base salary. Compare that to someone who probably just went to vocational school or technical school, came out as a mechanic or an electrician.
Correct.
At the age that the person with the business degree graduated and draw 1,500 to 2,000 ringgit.
Yep.
And at this particular market, and we are now, it's difficult to actually find a job, right?
Correct.
These person who with these particular technical skills as a mechanic or with a or with electrical license, they can easily draw twice the amount.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. I think there was one of these anecdotal jokes that says, you had a leaky faucet, then you try and fix, you couldn't fix it, then you call the plumber, he comes, he just twists the wrench one time and he says $1,000.
Yes.
And you say like, why should I pay you to just turn one time? And his answer is, I know where to turn.
Yes.
So vocational jobs, don't be surprised. They make
don't be surprised.
lot, because the educated people
Don't want to do it.
Don't want to do it,
Yeah.
and don't know how to do
Yes,
it. Don't know
exactly.
where to do it. They YouTube, but the YouTube doesn't give them the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
I swear to you, even when my phone spoiled, the first thing I try to do is I try to YouTube first how to fix my phone. Then I realize they're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
These people will pretend they want to tell you. They got so many videos to tell you how to recover your phone, in case something happens, and you try.
Yeah. It's
They
not
won't
gonna
tell
work,
you.
man. It's not
They will
gonna
bring you almost there, but they won't tell you because that's their money. They're not going to give it to you.
work. Yeah.
No one's going to tell you how to do your taxes, because if you know how to do your taxes fully, then what's the use of a tax accountant?
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, to be fair, that's their trade. I mean, you're not going to tell people how to do everything in
Yeah,
your
of
aesthetics
course,
world. I'm not
of
going to tell
course.
everyone how I'm going to do my hair transplant. I'll tell you just about enough The rest of it, see how lah.
Exactly. So yeah, so just because just because you, as parents, you want to feel good that you can then tell your friends, guess what, my son graduated from this university with that particular degree. It might not do them any good.
Correct.
All right. But at the same time, of course, as parents, your role is to protect and as well as to mold your child.
Yep.
Right. To push them in the right direction.
Yep.
So yes, money is not everything.
Correct.
Money is not everything. Well,
Because you can find money.
yeah, as
can find
as Ellie said, you find money anywhere.
Yep.
And there's actually a Chinese saying that in every industry there is someone who can do well and make a damn good living out of it. All right.
I remember once, this was when I was just started MOship after the housemanship, and I was doing locum. And I met this guy, right? This chubby guy. And he comes in, he's like, happy-go-lucky. So it's usually my habit to ask, okay, what do you do? And he says, oh, I do scrap metal. Chinese guy, do scrap metal. I'm like, okay, I thought, usually Indians do it.
Yeah.
Why are you Chinese fella doing it? Oh, I do scrap metal and I do rubbish. Huh? And he's like, yeah, I collect the waste, I send for recycling. Then I'm like, can make money. And he says, haha,
You'll be surprised.
on a good week, 3,000 to 4,000. And this was like, what, 15 years ago? Yeah, 15 years ago. I'm that old. Anyway, 15 years ago, 3,000 to 4,000 a week collecting scrap metals and reselling scrap metals and recyclable items. And he's happy. He tells me about the countries he's traveled, and his age was 1 year younger than me. And he's been to countries that I didn't even know they exist. Those kind of weird countries. For me, Sierra Leone, not a country, but it's a place, and he's been there. I haven't been there. And he's like, Doc, you also travel a lot, right? You're a doctor, you make a lot of money. I'm like, if you only knew
If you only knew back then.
MO shit back then, how
Houseman back then, how much do you make?
on call, let us tell you, back then on call, 24 hours. No, not really 24 hours. You start work at 5 p.m. They finish next day 8 a.m. They pay you $25 back then.
$25 back then.
Now at least a bit more respectable, but still.
I think now it's a little bit more. But back then,
180.
oh my god, that's damn a lot. So back then they pay you $25 and they give you a small
Token.
food voucher.
Food voucher. Oh,
you
yeah,
can get a
from Klang
small food
Hospital.
voucher.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
with Klang
yes,
Hospital.
yes.
Get a small food voucher. You can go and redeem a food for you can go redeem your dinner. Oh my god, it's some pathetic dinner.
But you have to say, Klang Hospital was the only one that has it.
Oh really?
Correct. Not every hospital has it. No.
Damn,
so
I
you
never
make
knew.
fun of Klang Hospital, but they were giving you food vouchers, alright?
Oh, they were giving us like a food vouchers.
Yeah, the pink color coupon, the blue color coupon, worth
Oh, I
5 ringgit.
never knew. I always thought there was it was in all government hospitals.
No. Klang's initiative.
Oh,
Very interesting.
Okay,
Not
lah,
every
at least.
hospital has it. So we were quite blessed to have that kind of
Okay,
food
okay,
coupon.
okay.
At least I got a wafer, a
Yeah,
boiled drink.
exactly. You got wafer, you
Enough
got
to
a
get
couple
one
of
nasi
drinks.
lemak, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So even coming back to Klang Hospital. So there was a guy. He will always be lurking in the hospital. He's not hospital staff. In the middle of the night, he will appear in the wards, especially when someone passes away. So you realize what he's actually selling. He's actually selling funeral packages.
services.
Yeah, funeral services. And no one else wants to do it.
Because
Come
it's so
on,
sway, you know?
Yeah,
Sway.
Talk about
Chinese
say,
say,
hey, it's so sweet lah. You sell all this thing, bad luck for don't know how many generations. But that's his living.
Correct.
And he makes a damn good living out of it.
He doesn't have to give bad luck to the next generation. He
exactly.
feeds the next 7 generations.
Exactly.
Crazy, man.
And then he is there every night. All right. So when someone passes away, the moment the necessary is done by the medical staff, and when they pack the body, he then goes to the family and say, you know what? Do you
need
guys
help?
have? Yeah, do you guys need help? You guys have insurance. If you have insurance, I can help you claim. If you need help, I will help you arrange everything.
Transport.
And then arrange everything. I will help you arrange to claim the body, the transport, the funeral services, and everything else. And he's there every night. And even if he's not there, he'll send one of his staff to actually do it.
Yep.
And he makes a damn good living out of it.
Yeah, doing the stuff that nobody wants to do.
No one wants to do.
Nobody wants to do. I mean, don't look down. The guy who can clean your shithole. I mean, if you flush and your poo doesn't go down, you think you're a happy person. And this guy, you say, you everyday play your shit on. But yet
Yeah,
he's
you
the
make
one
fun of them,
you
yeah.
make fun of him, and then he's gonna slap you a bill $2,000, or you just live with it, man. I can go
Yeah.
home, I can sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
No choice. So don't worry about ambition. With parents, I also think that we have to cut this whole kiasuism. When I say kiasuism, because I'm not sure about your time, my time was all full of kiasuism. We want to skip First was just skip remove.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
then skip grades
peralihan.
after
You
that.
skip that was like, wow, but everyone started doing it. Then it was, you can skip Form 1, go straight
Yep.
to Form 2. And then after that, even the government system had it.
Yeah, you can
Standard
skip standard
4.
5 or standard 4.
Standard
Yeah,
4.
yeah.
So standard
4.
3, you
Jump
jump
5
to standard 5.
Yeah.
People start doing all this skipping. And then after that, there was a whole big hoo-ha about a couple of our Malaysian geniuses who skipped school entirely and at 13 years old went to university. Went to Oxford. Was it Oxford?
I don't know. There's a couple Oxford.
Anyway, there's
and
a
all.
few of them went, and then everyone made a big heroine out of these
Yeah.
people. I think we got to cut those things out, you know.
Yeah. You
There's
have
a
to.
certain thing that has to come with time, and that's maturity with age, thinking process, thought process, even social maturity.
Yeah.
Imagine a 13-year-old going to university. Yes, you are born genius, but you are now hanging around with people who are
Yes.
18, 19 doing drugs. A 13-year-old shouldn't be having to make those kind of choices.
exactly.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, it is. So so as Ellie was saying, don't push your kid to skip grades.
Correct.
Because yes, you want to,
Give them a
everybody wants their child to be special. Everyone feels that the child is special and they can achieve greatness. Of course, you can. But one of the things about skipping grades is, as Ellie was mentioning, you're a 13-year-old with an intellectual of an 18-year-old, but you have a social maturity and emotional maturity of a 13-year-old.
Correct.
And once you hang around these 18-year-olds and they have 5 years of experience ahead of you, and they can bully you, you have no friends.
Correct.
And as you're mentioning, all these geniuses, when they go to university, they become loners. It's because they can't connect to anyone.
Yes.
They are imagine this. They are
Yes.
13-year-olds
Yes.
with
No
13-year-old interests.
Correct.
Even though they are smart,
Correct.
like an 18, 19-year-old, they
Correct.
still have 13-year-old interests,
Correct.
which is to read comic books, to watch cartoons,
Correct.
but nobody around them
Wants
want to
doing
do
it. Yeah.
So they
It's
have no
not that they
friends.
don't want to do it, but no one else wants to do
Yeah.
it.
So they have no friends.
They want to go clubbing, and at 13, you can't even go clubbing.
Exactly.
Then what do? You fake an ID.
Mm.
I mean, these are the kind of issues that a lot of times parents probably didn't see ahead, and it's hard to fault anyone because we all want to give our child that head start, be ahead of
Everybody
everyone.
wants to be.
but-
Everyone wants to be.
Chill out. Don't worry about it.
chill.
One of the best examples I had was from a friend of mine. So he's a French guy. He's a French teacher. Anybody wants to learn foreign language, let me know. I'll connect you to him. And he divorced. Then he had a second wife who's a Malaysian. But his first child has grown up. And when he was, I think, 18, 19, time to go to uni. But he doesn't know what to study. And to be fair, most people who are 18, 19, if
Yeah,
you're
you have
very
no
clear,
idea what
you are
you know in
clear.
life.
But most of the time, you don't know what you want in life.
Exactly.
So they did encourage him, why don't you enroll for this, enroll for that? And he just couldn't make up his mind. So they told him, go work. Go discover yourself.
Yes.
We're not going to really support you. Go find a job. Go pay the rent. And pursue what you think life can bring you towards. But make a choice of what you want to study because you need to do some education later. And as a bargain, they said, that time I think he was about 18, and they said, when you're 23 and you still haven't found a course that you think you like, we will decide for you. Unconventional, but actually that was something that I will probably practice that with my own kids. Finish SPM, you decide. If you're clear, great, good. And if you have option 1, 2, 3, great, because sometimes you don't get option 1.
True.
Unless you have the drive and determination. That's another story of mine. But if you don't know, go discover yourself. Find out what you think you could be good. You want to be a DJ, be a DJ. You want to be a Grab driver, try. Who knows? You might even come out with your own app for all I know.
Yeah.
That's where you try and push your ambition and see, can you really do it? And if you can't, plan B. The parents will come back.
Yeah.
I think that's a good lesson for me when I saw that, because at the end of the day, if like what we did, straight out of SPM, straight away jump into pre-U, then jump into med school. We graduated 24, 25, and then we slog our life out.
Yeah.
And then if that's what you want to do, great. But if that's not what you want to do, there's so much of resentment.
Yes, that's right.
For at least the first 5 to 10 years before you realize, okay, I'm actually quite good at what I'm doing also, and let's see what else I can do. But otherwise, if someone only started uni in 22, 23, and did 3 years, 4 years in a program they like, when they come out, they will excel so fast. They will make up for their lost time. Nothing makes someone more motivated than chasing the pack. It's like running. If you were right in front, you might be a bit take for granted.
Yes.
You don't really look behind, because
Yes,
nobody
that's
looks
right.
behind when they're
Yes,
ahead of the
that's
pack.
right. That's right.
Nobody. But when you are one step behind and you see the fuller, you're like, suddenly you say, I'm going to give all out. I'm going to chase you. I would break a bone if I have to cross the finishing line one nose in front of you, because I would beat you.
Yep.
And if I didn't, it's okay, because
Yep.
I was already behind you anyway. I have nothing to lose.
True.
So someone who's going to start uni in 22, 23, come out, graduate at 26, 27, doesn't mean they are going to be slow learners, okay? Doesn't mean they're going to be slow in life. They will catch up so fast.
Of course,
The
definitely.
guy who's ahead may not even know what hit them.
Yeah, so if you look at the grand scheme of things, if you're going to be working for the next 30, 40 years of your life, what is taking 2 years off?
Correct.
To discover what you want to do for the next 30
What
years.
you're really good at.
Yeah.
What you're
Imagine.
really good at.
So there are people with the courage when they go into university and they realize I don't like it, they either change course, or when they graduate they say, I'm going to do something totally different. And these are the people with I would say a little bit of courage to change.
Yep.
Of course, the people with a lot of courage will say, I really don't want to do it anymore. Let me go do what
do what I really want to. That's fine.
go do what Ali does. I would say go out and discover themselves and then enroll in the course they like. But there are a lot of people who don't have the courage to do that, who go through the next 30 years doing something they absolutely hate.
Yes.
And the only thing they look forward to is retirement. I just want to retire and do my own stuff after that. Right? But I actually totally agree with what you say. So the way I'm bringing my kids up is, you discover what you like. You think you like that, I'll send you for the course.
Yes.
Right? Nowadays, there's plenty of courses
So many,
everywhere.
yeah.
Example, a year ago, my son said, I want to learn Japanese. Okay, sure. You started picking up Japanese. Okay, I was sending you for Japanese class. I was sending for like 6 months Japanese class and see whether you like it. After 6 months, you realize that, it's not really my cup of tea. Okay, then we stop it. At least we scratch that itch. You realize that, it's not something you want to do. Then we'll stop it. Then the next thing you know, he wants to play the piano. Okay, he's in for piano lessons. But it doesn't mean that whatever he learned in Japanese class, it's not applicable.
Correct.
To his life.
Correct.
He still learned a little bit of things here and there. Right? He learned a
You still
different
pick
language.
a little bit.
Yeah. He learned different language, different cultures, and it's good for him. So as he's growing up, of course, what I want him to do is do whatever that he feels that he wants to do. Let him test it out. Right? Let him test it out. If he realizes that it's not for him, then he can always fall back.
Correct.
And we can always guide him.
Correct.
After that.
Correct. Because the more they trial and the more they did not discover what they want, we can still merge it together.
Oh yeah.
All right. You're okay in Japanese, not great, not an expert. That's fine. You're good in, let's say, design, but not an expert. Maybe we could just still put you in internship in Japanese design.
Exactly.
A little bit here, a little bit there. Don't need to do too much. You don't know what's going to shape up. But the thing, I think, when it comes to parenting, you gotta be very flexible. You gotta be, as fluid as water. You can't be as rigid as an oak anymore. It's not a different time back then whereby A is A, B is B, C is C. Today, fluidity and being able to evolve with the times is crucial.
Yeah.
So Inky's absolutely right when he talks about how he needs to try to pique the child's interest and see what they can do, what they can't do, test it out. What we did not have the privilege because of circumstance. When I say circumstance, is because when you wanted to be a scientist, you had no one to fall back on.
Yeah.
Your child can have mad labs, off YouTube, who specifically teaches him on certain things on science. I mean, how cool is that? Right? You don't need to be in a classroom. You can do it anytime when you feel like it. There's no rigidity behind it. Yet you can still learn and still pique that interest, whether is that your cup of tea or not your cup of tea. We should really, really maximize that, and parents should really look into that, as in, if that's your child's interest, but you still have certain interests for them, why don't you explore both? There's no harm in exploring both.
That's true.
He may be better in what you thought wouldn't make money. Don't worry about the money. I always find that when someone has the passion, ambition, and drive, and money is secondary, money will roll in. When you don't expect it, or when you don't think of that particular thing, right?
the thing appears. It's like you know, it's like looking for your car key. You know, when you want to look for your car key is never
Yes.
at the place that you want to, the place that you left it at. But on the days that you don't want to find your car key is everywhere. Yeah, so
Correct.
it's the same thing.
Same thing. It's just that. It's just the way that the laws and the nature works. So be fluid about it. Be very fluid about it. So coming back when you talk about higher education, well, I think I would like to do a partial sum up. Ingky can do the other partial sum up. Is that I think in some ways the rigidity of how we behave, the importance or the over importance of higher education kills ambition, because we suppress. We suppress creativity, we suppress courage, not because it wasn't good, but we didn't even give a chance to explore. I think people should explore, and they should explore parallel. It's kind of like saying, if my son wanted to do something, but I have plans for him to do something else, I'll say, okay, why don't you do both? All right, but you have to be fair. I'll let you explore what you want, but you have to still do what I want, and let's see how fast or how far we can push, and see which one you can fare better. But you have your obligation is try to do good in both, because we're going to give you a chance on yours, but you got to give a chance on mine at the same time. So my take is that ambition may not necessarily have to kill ambition. Higher education may not necessarily have to kill ambition, but we have to, put it in such a way whereby you need to see it as a way to see what you can do, what you can't do, use it, take it home, and drive your ambition true and true, but still have that flexibility of knowing your ambition in your mind may not be the ambition that you were made to be.
All right. So in my take is, higher education itself is not important, but the higher education area, or the place you have higher education, or you pick up higher education, is a very conducive place, because it groups people who are like-minded. It also allows critical thinking, as I was saying, and it allows you to actually find very close friends, right, who think like what you think.
Yep.
However, you should not push someone to do something that they absolutely have no interest in. Allow them, as you mentioned, to look for what they like. And it might not necessarily be a particular line of work. Example, if someone likes to talk, there's no work for, there's no formal training for talking.
Correct.
Yeah, but he really likes to talk.
Yep.
All right. So we can say, you know what? Why don't you just, you do what I tell you, or what I enroll you in, but on the side. If you really like to talk, I will send you for speech classes. I will send you for public speaking. I will send you for certain trainings, so you get so you actually become better at what you do. At your talking. So hopefully, whatever that I send you for and whatever you want to be in the future can merge together, as you mentioned, or even end of the day, the piece of paper might not be so important, but your experience in the higher education,
Yes.
right? The experiences living, and it's true for most Asians, right? The point when you are in higher education is the only time you actually, or it's the first step towards independence.
Yeah.
Right.
You're away from your parents.
Yeah, you're away from your parents. You're hanging out with your friends until late night. So that gives you a taste of adulthood without the burden of adulthood.
Correct.
So it allows you to test out,
Yep.
to push certain limits.
Yep.
So you should go for higher education, but as parents, you shouldn't really push them. If there's a pushback, means that your child say, you know what, Dad, I really don't like it. Can I do something else? Then you should be open to it, for them to either drop out or to change course.
Yep. So, I think with that, we'd like to conclude that with higher education ambition, everyone has a role to play.
Yeah.
Whether it's the person who's pursuing the ambition, whether it's the parents, or whether it's society, everyone has a very important role to play. But we gotta expand that horizon. If everyone is selfish to think, me as the ambition seeker only wants to do what I want to do, I cannot accept it for something else. We've seen a lot of people, whereby they say, I only want to do this. it's not about what you want. It's are you still good at it or not? You know, you
Yes.
can be a Michael Jordan who wants baseball, but you're really good at basketball. Why don't you try and explore other avenues? That's one. Second thing is society. We got to share. We got to start sharing. We got to start grooming the next generation. No point keeping everything to yourself if you're not going to build the next generation. Because when you grow old, the next generation is the one that looks after you. And if you don't groom them, you're going to get crappy people looking after you. And then with parents, well, that's where the trick comes in. It's not easy to be in mid-generation.
Yeah.
Coming from a very orthodox upbringing whereby we follow what our parents want to one whereby we have to be a bit more fluid. But we got to make an effort to try to be more fluid or come to a very decent compromise. All right. So with that, it's see, we managed to talk like an hour, right?
Oh, was it an hour on a topic that we never actually prepared?
Correct. It's an hour. It's amazing. I wasn't even looking at the time until
Yeah,
now. I
exactly.
looked around like, wow,
So,
it's an hour down. So, with that, we're gonna sign off. But we hope this was a good take home for anyone who is listening in, and you are contemplating to drop out from uni. I would probably say, don't do it yet.
I would say if you really want to drop out from uni,
Have
I
a
would-
damn bloody good reason.
I would say you have a good reason, number one. Secondly, if you really want to drop out from uni, I would say go do a part-time job first. Right?
That
Take up a part-time job.
Yeah, pursues your ambition.
Yeah. Take up a part-time job.
Mm.
All right. In the industry that you think that you want to go.
Yes.
And then you realize that, you know what, is it like something that you really dreamt of, or is it the total opposite?
Correct, because sometimes we think we like it, but we don't know the reality of it. It's good to actually have a reality check because at least that kind of still gives you, preps you for it. Because you're right, when you're studying and you do a part-time job, and then if you fail either way, your parents still there to
Yeah,
look after
exactly.
you.
Your
There's a
parents still for the
fallback,
bill.
you know.
It's okay.
Don't worry about it. At least you say, I still study what you want me to study, but I was just doing this as a part-time thing. But
Yeah.
you failed, it's okay. Either way, you fail also, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But you gotta do that. You
true.
can't hold the resentment against your parents. Oh, that's one thing I want to say. Never hold resentment against your parents if you didn't have the drive to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
If you say that I wanted to be this, but my parents wanted me that,
That.
and you didn't put in an ounce of effort in your adulthood, which means you're in uni and you are not staying with them, and you didn't even put in an ounce of effort to pursue what you really wanted, then you have no right to blame your parents, because that just shows that you didn't have that drive to begin with in the first place. I'm gonna end with a very quick example. When I say I want to study medicine, my dad my dad literally laughed at me lah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And he
because
say
my,
what?
Yeah, because my SPM result wasn't that great.
It's okay. Mine wasn't that great either.
Yeah, so my dad laughed at me. I said, "You want to be doctor? Are you sure or not?" And then he told me, my dad listens to the podcast, so you know when I say all this, right?
So tonight he was like,
Today he's gonna listen,
whenever he listens, it's like,
and tomorrow he's gonna tell me all these
son,
things.
I never knew.
I never knew it went through your mind. So anyway, so when I wanted to study medicine, he literally laughed at me, although he's not gonna admit it. And then next thing was he says, okay, why don't you go find out what it takes to get into med school. And I thought, just find out the fees and everything to tell you. So I found out everything. And, you know, back then, I think cheapest was IMU. I think under PMC was the cheapest one, Penang Medical College. And then, you know, you did partially in Malaysia. Then you go overseas. No, that was 2 years Ireland. Then you come back 3 years here. Because it was cheaper rather than doing 2 years here and 3 years there. Yeah. So got all the info, everything. Then when I pass it to him, he just stares at me and say, "Do you think I'm financing your medical school?" I just want you to know how difficult it is to get in and whether you qualify or not. And then when I applied through UPU online and I didn't get in, but my drive was, if that's what I really want, I didn't quit. You know, I wrote appeal letters. I wrote appeal letters to all the university, and thank God one actually wanted to accept me. Pity them, but you know,
And
thank
here
you very
you
much.
are.
And here I am today.
Here you are,
Here I am.
Malaysia's premier hair transplant doctor.
Yeah, but it's all about the drive. You gotta have the drive. That's it. And it's not about my journey that I want to talk about. It's about having that drive. You really want it, you gotta really push for it. Now, if I didn't get accepted, I would have accepted it because I really did try and push, and I begged, and I did everything. I groveled literally. And if I didn't get in, then I said, okay, fine. That would have been a sign, because didn't study that hard in the beginning, didn't qualify, didn't get a scholarship, tried back, didn't get in, fine. then I'll look for option B. But have the drive, guys. You know, never blame if you didn't have the drive. If you have the drive, you did everything, didn't work out, then look at option.
Yes.
Look at options. All right, I think we've already surpassed an hour.
Yes, it's more than an hour. All right, so signing off from the two dogs. This is Ambition. Does higher education really kill it or not? So I'm signing off until next week. I'm
Until
Dr.
next
Ingky.
week. And I'm Dr. Ali.
Hey, good night.
Good night.
See you.
Bye.